Good morning and welcome to day 22 of our mostly carnivore transformation. Now, as you can see here, I'm not doing so good. My energy is 2 out of 10, my mood is 5 out of 10, my motivation is 4 out of 10, and my sleep quality was 2 out of 10. I actually went to sleep pretty quickly, but I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was wide awake. It's now 20 past 7 and I haven't been back to sleep. I am awake, but tired with it. I don't feel like going back to bed. I'm just tired. So I think I'm going to call this. I'm not going to continue with this mostly carnivore diet. One of the main things is that I am feeling so lousy. I was actually better with high salicylates prior to this because I could function. I still had a few issues, but not as bad as this. I know that people have persisted and got through it, but I don't feel, for me at this point in time, that's what I can do, particularly because of the diverticulitis that's happened. There's so much working against me with microbiome and other things going on. So I I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far as diet goes. I do want to alkalize. I was doing some research on how to clear salicylates, and it says you should have a urinary pH of 7.5. Mine is 5.5. So being in ketosis is actually preventing me from excreting salicylates when I do have them. So I'm going to try and alkalize, see if my symptoms resolve. And then what I might try doing is 1 meal a day, because I did very well on that before. And we will see if that makes a difference to how I'm feeling and if I am able to do my exercise and all of that sort of thing that makes for a balanced person, because at the moment I'm just not balanced at all. At all. I'm far from balanced. I think that the carnivore diet works really well for some people, but I can see why, because I felt so good in the first week, 10 days, and that was because I was coming off a 3-day fast. Well, it was a 60-hour water fast, and because of that, I had reduced my amines right down. So then they started to build up again, and I can see where the issue is. So I'm also going to investigate more ways to excrete amines. And I may be able to give it a go later on down the track, but at the moment, I feel like I just need to get myself into balance. And I can see why people thrive on it, because you are getting rid of a lot of things that do create inflammation in the body. However, I seem to have triggered inflammation or more inflammation in my body. So I discussed it with Adam last night, and he's in agreement too. I think he's seen lots of improvements to his blood sugar, especially, and we'll see what type of effect that has. He doesn't think he can do 1 meal a day, and that's okay. I just need to give him good alternatives for maybe a second meal. He only used to eat 2 meals a day anyway, and good alternatives, snacks perhaps, that aren't going to interfere with his blood sugar too much. So yeah, we'll come up with a plan. I am going to weigh and do my measurements today, because this is the day that I do them. It is Wednesday, and that's when I do them. So I'll put those up, and then if you want to keep following my story, feel free, but it won't be carnivore. I'm not sure what I'm going to title it yet, because I know that in the next couple of days, like I have to fast for a CT today, so I have to eat beforehand, but it's not going to be enough to get me through the whole day. So I won't be starting 1 meal a day today, and tomorrow my family member has got a big appointment at a hospital, which is going to take us hours, so I don't even know if I'll be doing it tomorrow. Yeah, there's a few family issues going on with health at the moment, and I'm supporting people with that. So, um, we will see. We will see what happens. I'm hopeful that I'm going to find a solution to all of this, um, because I have been struggling for a long time, and I'm really determined not to go back to the way I was eating prior to not so much carnivore, but prior to Easter, I think this year, because after Easter I started making drastic changes because I can just see myself falling into a heap if I don't do something about my imbalance in my metabolism very soon. So we will continue from here. I will go and do my measurements and report back shortly. Adam's energy, he reports, is 7 out of 10 today. His mood still remains 5 out of 10. Motivation, 5 out of 10. Sleep quality, 8 out of 10. And blood sugar level was 5.9. So it's staying pretty much between 5 and 6, which is wonderful. So I've done my measurements and my weight, and this is what we've got. So the reason I've got two weights is I have got a new scales. Well, I bought my mum's new scales for Mother's Day, and so I weighed on both of them, the old ones on the left and the new ones on the right. So on the old scales, I'm the same weight. On the new scales, I'm 2 kilos heavier, even though we're weighing at exactly the same time, pretty much in the same place. So there is a bit of a difference between the scales for a start, but I haven't lost any weight. I have had a lot of inflammation this week, though. My chest has gained 2.5 centimeters. My waist gained 1.5 centimeters. I am a little bloated at the moment. My hips have lost another centimeter. My right arm's lost a centimeter. My right leg, I don't know what's going on with that leg. Nothing's happening there at all. My neck is the same and my visceral fat is the same. So not a lot of difference this week. Now, normally when I do low carb, I lose a lot of weight. So it could be that I'm having a lot of dairy because I'm using the dairy to try and dampen down the effects of the amines on me. So that may be a factor there. I'm not. It may be that I've had an infection and I've had lots of inflammation as well, so I haven't lost any fat because of that. Regardless, I won't be continuing at this point anyway. So overall, in 3 weeks, I've lost 2 kilos. My chest has gone down by 2.5 centimeters. My waist has gone down by 0.5 centimeters. My hips have gone down by a whopping 7 centimeters. My right arm is down by 2 centimeters. I suspect that my right leg should be doing something. I'm not sure. I might get someone else to measure it next week. My neck has gone down by 1.5 centimeters, and my visceral fat has gone down by a centimeter. So overall, there's been loss, which is marvelous. But I can tell you that normally when I do a low carb diet that has meat and vegetables in it, during this time, I would have expected to have lost at least 6 kilos. And but there was once that I lost 7.5 kilos in 3 weeks. So yeah, it may be the dairy. It may be more saturated fat than what I normally have. But we'll see how it goes. So these are Adam's results. He's been a bit more active than me and is also younger. Now, he lost a kilo this week. And what's interesting with him is that when he's on the old scales, he's weighing the same as on the new scales. So maybe it's to do with body mass and distribution that I have such a difference and he doesn't. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. With the new scales, I'm definitely well under the highest weight, but maybe with the older scales, they don't weigh as high as, and they're not as accurate at higher weights. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but there is a difference. But we'll keep weighing from the new scales. His chest, he lost 0.5 centimetre. His waist, he lost another 2.5 centimetres. So if you remember last week, he was quite bloated looking. So that's gone down again, and his stomach looks flat and normal. He hasn't lost anything from his hips, arm, leg, or neck, but he lost 1 centimeter from his visceral fat. Now, I think because he is so slim anyway, any sort of bloating will show up on him, whereas me, it may not. So I think that's what we're seeing there is those up and down movements in the waist and the visceral fat. Between the 1st of May and the 22nd of May, Adam's weight went down by 3 kilos. His chest went down by 1 centimetre. His waist went down by 3.5 centimetres. His hips went down by a whopping 6 centimetres. I don't know what it is about the hips on this diet. Both of us had big losses here. His right arm went down by 1 centimetre, his right leg went down by 3 centimetres, his neck went down by 1.5 centimetres, and there was no loss to his visceral fat. Overall, a great result. What I am really noticing with him is that his face has become less rounded and a little bit more angular. And I wish I'd taken close-up photos of his face. I might be able to blow up maybe the frontal version that we took photos of when we started. But, yeah, I didn't have a close-up version, but it's certainly looking a lot more angular. I can really see it. He said he wasn't noticing it, but I can see it. So I'm just going to do a little summary here talking about how I felt overall. So I'm going to talk initially about how I felt before the amine problems kicked in. I felt great. My ankle improved, my energy improved, my mood improved, my motivation improved. They were all really good. So if I didn't have an amine problem, I would certainly continue here. My sleep quality deteriorated and secondary to the amines, basically. So if you're already a poor sleeper, I don't know that this will help you if you have an amine sensitivity. If you don't, it may. So why not give it a go if it does? My salicylate amine excretion became really poor. One, I think for salicylates because my urine pH is just too acidic. And for amines because I put in more amines that my body could cope with. And so associated with this is all the brain fog that I've had, the poor sleep, the itchiness, all those things that I hoped would resolve by doing the carnivore diet haven't. And then, of course, the episode of diverticulitis. Now, I may have had this without doing carnivore, I may not have. So that one's hard to tell, but that certainly did not help with anything in this because my gut is inflamed. I can't excrete as many amines. And so it just all multiplied onto one another. So overall, if you think of doing this, I would say give it a go. You know, I was hoping to at least get to 30 days when I started to struggle, but I'm just not even going to do that to myself because, quite frankly, I need the sleep. It's 9 o'clock now, and I still I've been awake for 6 hours. So it's not worth the pain of me not sleeping. But I can see why it works so well for a lot of people because it does help with energy, mood, and motivation. And of course, walking and arm swinging. This morning, I don't feel like I've got any energy going to my legs. So big difference there to what was happening last week. So Adam's experience on the carnivore diet was quite different to mine. He struggled during the first week, and then things got much, much better for him. And he said that overall he enjoyed the food. He is naturally a meat eater anyway. He loves meat. His energy, he said, has improved. He did notice a difference too when he was walking. He felt like he had more energy to going to his legs. His mood hasn't really changed, but we've only given it 3 weeks, so it might not be enough time to get that mood changing. His motivation hasn't changed either. Sleep quality is the same, but he's slept well before we started this, and he's continued to sleep well. So being the same here is a positive thing because it hasn't deteriorated. And his blood sugar levels are fantastic. They're within normal limits, and that's what we were really looking to do for him. As far as the lesions in his mouth, we aren't seeing any changes there at all. We will continue to monitor them. He hasn't been booked for a biopsy yet. And yeah, overall, he felt it was an okay experience. Okay, it was just okay. Um, yeah, so he's going to join me in what we're doing next, which I don't quite know what it is yet. We were thinking 1 meal a day, maybe not for the next couple of days, but we will continue trying to get our health to its optimal state. For breakfast, we had buckwheat porridge. So I soaked some buckwheat and cashews in water for about 4 hours, and then I blended them with some cacao, a banana, and some water, just a touch of water, and then I put some peeled pear on top. So I realised that cacao and banana have amines in, but I'm trying to alkalize myself here. That's the aim here. I don't tend to react to them as much as meat for some reason. I'm a little itchy, but not as bad as I was when I was having meat. So we'll just see how that goes because it certainly did alkalize me. So when I tested my urine this morning, my pH was below, well, 5.5. That's the lowest reading I've got. And when I did it at 12, it was 6.8. So it's certainly alkalizing me. Buckwheat is a very alkalizing grain. So I'm going to try and continue with that. I'm currently fasting so I can go for my CT. So I'm not going to have any lunch. I will see what Adam wants to do as far as lunch goes. I imagine he's probably not hungry, but we'll see. Adam really wasn't that hungry. He had a handful of cashews just to get him through until we get back from the CT. So that's all he had for lunch. We got back from the CT at about 4 o'clock. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, but I wasn't really that hungry. I was more tired than hungry because I hadn't slept since 3 a.m. at this point. So I sat down and had a little rest for a while. At about 5:30, I started making some risotto. So I made risotto with some things that are high in salicylate and some things that aren't. So rice isn't. I use butter in here instead of oil. Oh, and leek was garlic, which are low salicylate foods. I added sweet potato, which is higher, and lemon, which is higher. And there was only one mushroom, so I added one mushroom and peas. So they were all a little bit high in salicylates. It was nice. Oh, and there was dill in there as well. So dill is my favourite herb, and it doesn't seem to trigger me so much, even though it's a little bit higher than parsley in salicylates. And it was nice. I felt I'd put too much lemon in, but everyone else said it was really good. So maybe my taste buds have changed a little bit. I had 2 bowls of this. I was really hungry by this point, and that's all I had for the rest of the day. Adam had some pork crackling at about 8:30 as I was going to bed. This is the same brand as the really clean brand that I found. However, because it's a flavoured one, it has a lot more stuff in it. So we can see that the sugar's still less than 1 gram, so it won't probably trigger his blood sugars. But it does have wheat flour and MSG in it and some sugar. So probably not the best one to choose, but we will work on that. I am super tired this evening. It's getting on to 8:30. I'm going to go to bed now. Hopefully I get some sleep. I am super, super tired. I've been up since 3 a.m. And yes, I hope you're enjoying this series and that you continue to enjoy it. I am going to start tomorrow with something new as I try and find my way through this maze of what I can eat that makes me feel good. So hopefully, you can join us. I will see you then.